In the 5th year after marrying Sam, I finally received the good news that I would soon be leaving this world. In my final 3 days, I decided to become the perfect wife Sam wanted and the quiet mother my son wished for. On the first day, Sam said I wasn't dignified enough and insisted on taking the fake heiress to the banquet instead. I offered no complaints and quietly ironed his suit. On the second day, my son complained that I was too nagging and made a fuss about going to find the fake heiress. Smiling, I personally sent him to her side. On the third day, a friend called me, furious and disappointed. By doing this, aren't you afraid you'll really lose both your husband and your son? I only smiled calmly. It's fine, I'll be going home soon. Sam suddenly looked at me. Panic appeared in his eyes, something I had never seen before. Eva, aren't you an orphan? Other than here, where else could you possibly have a home? Chapter 1. Seeing the shock in Sam's eyes, I hung up the phone and spoke without changing my expression. I was joking. Even if I did have a home to go back to, they wouldn't welcome me. Only then did Sam relax. Tonight, I'm going to celebrate Helen's birthday. Our son is going too. I smiled and asked, do you want me to go as well? Sam looked surprised. If he had said this to me before, I would have gotten angry and made a scene, refusing to let him take our son to see Helen. But now, there wasn't the slightest trace of resentment on my face. I even took the initiative to offer. Still, Sam rejected me coldly. There's no need for you to go. Although Helen's parents raised you for many years, Helen has come back now. This is the first birthday her biological parents are hosting for her. If you go, it will only make things awkward. Every word he spoke implied that I was unnecessary. I listened quietly. A foster family I never truly belonged to. A biological family I could never return to. A husband's family I could never stay in. When Sam called me an orphan, he wasn't wrong. I nodded calmly. All right, then I won't go. Please give Helen her gift for me. Sam looked me up and down in disbelief. Ignoring his gaze, I took a box from the cabinet and handed it to him. Inside was a pair of dazzling earrings. Sam only glanced at them before speaking in disdain. A gift like this is far too vulgar. It doesn't suit Helen. I stood where I was, watching him casually toss the box onto the table. Sam didn't know that this so-called vulgar thing was already the best gift I could possibly give. My relationship with Helen was never good. But since it was her birthday, I didn't want to invite unnecessary trouble. That day, I rummaged through every box and drawer before finally finding this delicate, expensive pair of earrings. I hadn't even brought myself to wear them once. Yet Sam tossed them aside in disdain. In truth, I knew he didn't really think the earrings were vulgar. He simply despised any gift that came from me, a mere housewife. Sam frowned and looked at me. I prepared a necklace for Helen a few days ago. Where did you put it? I had seen that necklace before. In 5 years of marriage, it was the most thoughtful gift I had ever seen him prepare. At the time, I thought he might have noticed something wrong with me. I thought he wanted to make me happy on my birthday, to reconcile with me, so I deliberately put it back on his bookshelf and pretended I knew nothing. It turned out the intended recipient was never me. I went into the study, took out the necklace, and handed it to Sam. He accepted the box, and the crease between his brows finally eased. Our son and I will be back soon. If there's anything you want to eat, just use my card and buy it yourself. I smiled and said okay, lowering my eyes as I watched the two of them leave. The front door slammed shut. I turned and walked toward my room when mocking voices from the servants drifted behind me. She's such a failure of a wife. Not only can't she keep her husband's heart, she can't even keep her child's. It's her birthday too, but her husband and son are off celebrating someone else's. No one even remembers her birthday. I bet it won't be long before this Mrs. is replaced by Miss Helen, someone beside her side. Madam really does have a miserable fate. Her biological parents are dead, and her foster parents don't care about her either. Miss Helen is the lucky one. She was spoiled for 20 years in the Yi family, and now her biological parents have risen in power too. Her life will only keep getting better. Their words reached my ears clearly. I never turned around. It wasn't the first time I had heard such things. At the beginning, I would scold them angrily. I didn't like Helen, but I believed Sam still cared about me. But later, just because Helen said she liked my bracelet, Sam took the gift he had given me and presented it to her at her birthday banquet, and my heart gradually went numb. But it didn't matter. 3 days would pass very quickly. Tonight, I could finally go home. Chapter 2. I went back to my room and took down the wedding photo from the wall, my fingertips brushing over the wedding dress in the picture. On our wedding night, the system announced that I had successfully completed the mission and sent me an invitation to leave this world. Over these past years, in order to complete my mission with Sam, I had said countless sweet words, but at some point, genuine feelings quietly mixed into those confessions. I was in pain the entire night. In the middle of the night, emboldened by alcohol, I finally gathered the courage to tell Sam, "Actually, I'm just a passerby in your life. One day, you'll meet the real female lead. She'll be dignified, graceful, and understanding, far better than me in every way." Sam's eyes instantly reddened. He slammed me against the wall, beer cans scattering across the floor. He bit down hard on my lips, his voice hoarse and aggressive. "I don't want anyone dignified or gentle. The only female lead in my life is you. I like you as you really are. I enjoy being managed by you." I was kissed until my head spun. That night, happiness clouded my judgment, and I ignored the system's repeated invitations. I forgot how easily hearts change. 5 years passed in the blink of an eye. As expected, Helen entered his life, and his heart gradually tilted toward her. He began to dislike that I wasn't dignified enough, that I couldn't maneuver gracefully in social situations. He complained that I restrained him too much, that I didn't give him enough freedom. He despised all my flaws. He despised that I wasn't perfect. The promises made on our wedding night were remembered by only one person, me. Suddenly, loud banging came from the door. I flinched in shock, and the wedding photo slipped from my hands, shattering on the floor. The knocking didn't stop. I hurried across the broken glass and opened the door. Sam immediately grabbed my arm and dragged me outward. My arm hurt from his grip. I frowned instinctively. "Where are we going?" Sam turned back, gloom filling his eyes. "To the hospital. Helen ate the cake you made and something happened to her." In the hospital room, our son Lucas held a cup of water, standing on tiptoe as he fed Helen sip by sip. It was a kind of care I had never received. For 5 years, even when I lay sick in a hospital bed, unable to move, groaning and asking my son to pour me a cup of water, he would only turn his head away coldly. "I have to memorize my lessons. Get it yourself." Back then, I thought it was because he was young and didn't understand. Now I knew, it was simply because the mother he loved was not me. When I walked into the ward, Helen's body trembled unconsciously. Her eyes reddened as she apologized. "Sister Ava, I'm sorry. I was too close to Sam. It's all my fault." At once, Lucas stepped in front of Helen protectively, his small face full of hostility. "You vicious bad woman. Sister Helen is pretty and kind. You're jealous of her, so you sent her a cake with glass shards in it." My heart jolted. I asked calmly, "What cake?" Lucas stomped his foot angrily. "Stop pretending. I clearly saw you bring the cake yourself. There was even a handwritten card from you. You almost killed Sister Helen. Someone like you doesn't deserve to be my mother." Even though I was used to it, the childish words still pierced my heart. I looked at Sam. "Do you believe that too?" Sam didn't answer, but the disappointment in his eyes had already given me the answer. I suddenly found it bitterly ironic. A few days ago, I had burned my hand while making soup for Sam. My right hand had been wrapped in bandages ever since. I couldn't even hold a pen properly, let alone write a card, much less make a cake myself. If either Sam or my son had paid even the slightest attention to my injured hand, they would have known how ridiculous this lie was. But now, the two of them stood beside Helen, united against me, making me look like the outsider. I looked at my son and smiled faintly. "Since you think I'm not fit to be your mother, then I'll leave now and stop being an eyesore." "You're not allowed to leave." I turned and walked toward the door. Suddenly, someone shoved me hard from behind, and I stumbled to the ground. Lucas pushed me angrily and blocked the doorway. Helen, sitting on the hospital bed, sobbed and said, "Sister Ava, I ate a lot of the cake you sent. The glass cut my tongue, but I don't mind. I just want an apology from you." I braced myself against the wall and slowly stood up. My ankle had twisted when Lucas pushed me. Even the slightest movement sent sharp pain through me. I frowned, looked coldly at Helen, and mocked her without restraint. That cake was sent by someone you hired to pretend to be me, wasn't it? You were even willing to cut your own tongue. You're really ruthless. Then I looked at Sam and said coldly, to tell you the truth, my hand was injured 2 days ago. Helen suddenly burst into loud, piercing sobs, cutting me off. I know you hate me, sister, but I never imagined you would hate me this much. You hurt me, and now you're even trying to push all the blame onto me. With that, Helen buried herself in Sam's arms and cried. Sam suppressed his anger and scolded me coldly. Enough. When did you become like this? Narrow-minded, jealous, vicious. Look at you. Do you still look like a mother? How are you supposed to set an example for Lucas? When did I become like this? I couldn't remember anymore. Maybe it was the first time Helen framed me, when he and our son believed her without hesitation, and I cried all night. Or maybe it was when he began to find me boring, refused to take me to banquets, replaced me with Helen as his companion, and I sulked for 3 days straight. Or perhaps it was the night I woke up at 5 in the morning to make him chicken soup, only for him to turn around and give it to Helen to nourish her body, leaving me quietly heartbroken for a long time. There were too many such moments, so many that I didn't even know where to begin. Sam's face tightened. Now, apologize to Helen immediately, and this will be over. I pulled the corner of my mouth and forced 2 words out between my teeth. Dream on. Sam's face darkened instantly, anger flashing in his eyes. Eva, say that again. Do you think I really wouldn't dare do anything to you? I sneered and repeated myself, mustering all my courage. I said dream on. I will never apologize for something I didn't do. My conscience is clear. Sam was completely enraged. He picked up the half piece of cake left on the table, stepped forward, grabbed my chin, and shoved it brutally into my mouth. Seems you won't cry until you see the coffin. This is the punishment for your stubbornness, since you refuse to apologize. Then repay Helen with the same pain. I choked and coughed, cream mixed with glass shards, and a bloody taste spread in my throat. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Helen looking at me with undisguised glee. In front of me, Sam looked down at me from above, seeing the disgust in his eyes. I suddenly felt he was so unfamiliar. No matter how I tried, I couldn't place him together with the boy he used to be. Then it dawned on me, the man I once loved had long since died. Sam was no longer him. The surroundings were noisy, filled with voices of blame. I didn't want to hear them. I didn't want to hear anything anymore. A tear slid down my cheek. The system's mechanical voice sounded in my mind. Host. 30 seconds until departure. 29 seconds. Bracing myself against the wall, I moved little by little toward the window. Seeing my movement, Sam stiffened, then sneered coldly. What are you trying to do? Do you think threatening me with death will make me feel sorry for you? Stop dreaming. Don't I know what kind of person you are? You wouldn't dare die. When I turned back to look at him, there was only deep disgust left in his eyes. I pulled my lips into a faint smile. Maybe I still had a shred of expectation for you, which is why I followed you here. But now I finally see how ridiculous I am. Sam, you're pitiful. You don't even have the ability to tell right from wrong. All my sincerity was wasted on you. You're the one who betrayed me. I will never forgive you. In this lifetime, we will never see each other again. In his stunned gaze, I finally said everything I had held in for so long. Sam's lips trembled before he forced out one sentence. Eva, you're insane. I didn't answer. I placed my hand on the window frame. The next second, I stepped over the window and jumped. Blood splattered. My life ended completely. Chapter 3. Downstairs. The crowd exploded into chaos. Screams and frantic shouts rose one after another. Sam's body trembled as he moved, disbelievingly, toward the window. When he saw the vivid red blood beneath me, he shuddered violently, stumbling back a few steps as if his legs had given out. For a moment, he stood there in a daze. Behind him came Lucas's shaking voice. Dad. Mom is bleeding so much. It felt like a heavy blow to Sam's heart. He snapped back to his senses and lurched toward the door, trying to rush downstairs. Helen struggled to suppress the smile tugging at the corner of her mouth. She hurriedly climbed out of bed and grabbed Sam's arm. Sam, don't go. Seeing blood is bad luck. Security will handle her body in a minute. Honestly, it's good that she's dead. Now she won't keep clinging to you and refusing to divorce. Sam whirled around and flung her off. His face dark. What nonsense are you talking about? Ava promised she'd stay with me for the rest of my life. How could she be dead? His voice rose sharply. Helen. Shoved away. Staggered and slammed into the wall. Helen hadn't expected that Sam, who had just forced me to swallow cake full of glass shards for her, would now be this agitated because I had jumped. By the time she lifted her head in shock, Sam was already gone. Outside the elevator, a long line had formed. Sam burned with impatience and turned toward the stairwell instead. The last time he had been so desperate to see me was the day he proposed. On the day of the proposal, there had been an accident in the middle of the road. All the cars were forced to stop, stuck in place. So Sam got out of the car, carrying flowers and a diamond ring, and sprinted toward me the whole way. Back then, I smiled as I wiped the sweat from his forehead, helplessly saying, "You don't have to push yourself this hard. You know I'll wait for you no matter how long it takes." He shook his head and smiled. "Because I want to see the person I love sooner. I have to run." His words had made my eyes curve with joy. That smile froze in his memories. Forever. From far away, the roar of the crowd reached him, and Sam's thoughts snapped back to the present. People had packed around me so tightly there was barely any space left. Sam forced his way through the crowd until he reached my side. The woman who had been smiling in his memories now lay in a pool of blood, her peaceful face drained of color. Sam crouched beside me, his fingers trembling as they touched my nose. There was no breath. The last thread of reason in Sam's mind finally snapped. In an instant, his eyes turned bloodshot. "You're joking with me, aren't you? You said it yourself. You loved me most. You said you'd stay with me for a lifetime. How could you be the one to break your word first? Wake up, Ava. If you wake up right now, I'll take you home. I'll give you anything you want, anything at all." Sam's hoarse voice rose higher and higher until, overwhelmed, tears finally spilled. I didn't answer him. I only lay there quietly, my lips pale, my body still. The crowd around us fell silent, watching Sam unravel, until a hurried voice sounded from behind. "Sir, please step aside." Several doctors and nurses quickly placed me onto a stretcher and sprinted toward the emergency room. Sam followed in a daze, all the way to the doors of the operating room. Each second that passed felt unbearably long. Suddenly, someone tugged at the hem of his clothes. Sam turned around and saw Lucas, with a servant standing behind him. Sam recognized her. She was the servant who had long stayed by Helen's side. The moment her eyes met Sam's, she hurriedly lowered her head. Her lips trembled as she spoke. "There's something I want to tell Mr. Sam and the young master." Chapter 4. This morning, the person the young master saw delivering the cake was actually me. Miss Helen made me put on Madam's clothes and wear a mask and a hat to deliver the cake. If I didn't agree, she said she would cut off my mother's medical expenses. But I didn't know there were glass shards inside the cake. I didn't know what I did would kill someone. My conscience won't let me rest. So I've decided to tell both of you the whole truth. Mr. Sam, no matter how you punish me, I'll accept it. I don't want to live the rest of my life trapped in guilt. The servant's face was deathly pale as she pulled a voice recorder from her pocket. "This is the recording of Miss Helen ordering me to do it. I'm sorry, Madam Ava." The servant squeezed her eyes shut in pain. Helen's sharp, arrogant voice spilled out of the recorder. "Frame her? I'm the one who grew up with Sam. I'm the one who should be his wife. Ava stole my happiness. Why does she get to have Sam's love? Do exactly what I say. Don't even think about resisting me, or your mother won't live past tonight." Lucas's mouth fell open in disbelief, shock filling his eyes. How could Sister Helen do something like that? Sam's clenched fist trembled slightly, his face so dark it was terrifying. He suddenly remembered the disappointed words I had left behind before I jumped. "Sam, you're pitiful. You don't even have the ability to tell right from wrong. All my sincerity was wasted on you. So you knew all along." Sam's heart tightened violently, and the fury inside him refused to be contained. Right now, the only thing on his mind was finding Helen and demanding answers. And as if on cue, the moment Sam stepped into the corridor, Helen walked toward him from the other end. When she saw Sam, she suppressed the delight in her eyes and hurried over. "Sam, so you're here. I've been so worried about you." Helen didn't notice Sam's stormy expression at all and kept talking to herself. "I know you're sentimental, Sam, it's normal to feel awful after your wife dies, but people have to move forward. If you really need a wife, then I can be one too. As she spoke, Helen blushed and was about to lean her head against Sam's shoulder when a slap suddenly landed across her face. Helen covered her burning cheek and stared at Sam in disbelief. Why you hit me? Sam kept one hand in his pocket and tossed the voice recorder onto the floor. With every sentence that played from it, Helen's face turned a shade paler. These recordings are edited. I never did any of this. Seeing her refuse to admit it no matter what, Sam gave a disappointed, cold laugh. Just then, Lucas came running over with the servant close behind. The instant Helen saw the servant, the shock in her eyes turned into rage. So it was you. You bitch, you exposed me. I'll kill you. Helen lunged, reaching for the servant's throat. But Sam stopped her with one hand. His eyes were filled with intense disappointment. Helen, why would you do this? Everyone has given you their love. What could you possibly still be dissatisfied with that you had to frame Ava? Sam pinned her against the wall. Helen's voice choked with sobs. Everyone gave me their love? If you really loved me, why did you marry her? You even had a child with her. I'm the one who grew up with you. I'm the one who should have been your wife. She ruined what we had. Sam stiffened all over and frowned, his voice cold. Helen, I've always only thought of you as a younger sister. I may have protected you and cared for you, but I never had inappropriate thoughts about you. Even if Ava didn't exist, I would never marry you. Helen's sobbing faltered. The man who had just forced me to eat a cake filled with glass for her was now saying, again and again, that he didn't love her. Several police officers walked over and showed their IDs to everyone present. We're officers from the A District Police Station. Who called the police just now? Lucas, who had been silent in the corner, suddenly raised his hand and pointed at Helen. I called the police. I want to report her for threatening someone into harming my mom. The officers stepped up to Helen in her hopeless gaze. One of them spoke coldly. Ma'am, please come with us to assist in the investigation. Chapter 5. When my consciousness returned, the bone-crushing pain had already faded. I opened my eyes and struggled to sit up, shocked to find myself in my familiar little home. A huge sense of relief washed over me. The system's mechanical voice sounded in my mind. Congratulations, host. The mission has been completed successfully. The reward has been transferred to your bank account. Wishing you a smooth life in the real world. If you wish to accept another mission, you may summon me at any time. With that, the system fell silent once more. With the 100 million reward from the system, I lived the life of wealth and luxury I had always wanted. No Sam's coldness, no ungrateful son's disdain, no Helen's schemes, only endless money and happiness. My future was bright. Half a month later, as I sat on a Bali beach feeling the sea breeze with a handsome curly-haired guy, the system's mechanical voice suddenly rang out. Host, the original world has destabilized. You are required to return once more. I quickly sent the curly-haired guy away and slipped aside to ask the system, what happened? The system didn't answer. Instead, it projected a segment of footage. After jumping, I had become a vegetable, paralyzed in bed, critically ill. After the truth of Helen's conspiracy was exposed, and through Sam's behind-the-scenes actions, she was sentenced to 60 years in prison for intentional injury and threats. However, on the day of her incarceration, Helen suddenly disappeared. Her whereabouts remained unknown. As for Sam, in order to cure me, he spent enormous sums of money hiring top doctors from all over the world. He no longer cared about work. He only stayed by my bedside with our son. Night after night, the footage ended there. I asked the system, so what am I supposed to do? Make the male lead realize that you no longer love him and completely extinguish his obsession with you. Once that is done, the mission will be considered fully complete. After this task is finished, you will receive an additional bonus. Hearing the word bonus, I agreed without hesitation. All right, send me back. The next second, the smell of disinfectant rushed into my nose, and Lucas's excited voice sounded in my ears. Dad, Mom's finger just moved. Then I heard hurried footsteps. When I opened my eyes, I saw Sam's familiar face. He clearly hadn't rested well during this time. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and he looked utterly exhausted. When he saw me awake, All the fatigue vanished from his eyes. He grabbed my hand in delight. I frowned instinctively, sensing my resistance. He quickly released it. Sorry, I got too excited. Did I hurt you? That gentle expression. I hadn't seen it in a very long time. I didn't answer. I forced myself to sit up, and Sam hurried forward to support me. Eva, are you hungry? Have some soup. I made it using the recipe you taught me before, while you were asleep. I cooked a pot every day, just so you could drink the warmest soup the moment you woke up. Sam scooped some into a bowl and brought it attentively to my lips. I looked at him in silence, then suddenly spoke. Sam, let's get a divorce. Chapter 6. Sam's hand trembled, and he almost spilled the soup. He hurriedly set the bowl aside. He looked at me uneasily. Why are you suddenly talking about divorce? Is it because of Helen? I already know the truth about that. She may have escaped for now, but I've sent people to find her. Sooner or later, she'll be punished. I shook my head. Not just because of that. Sam looked at me. Then is it because I didn't take you to banquets before? That was my fault. I'll have someone custom make the most unique evening gown for you right now, tailored exactly to your measurements. All right? I still shook my head. I don't need that. Sam, do you think I was only hurting because of Helen? Sam, dare you swear that you love me the same as before? Dare you guarantee that even if I keep restraining you in the future, you won't grow tired of me? Dare you promise there will never be another Helen? Sam froze, not knowing how to answer. 5 years ago, he truly could have said openly that he loved me, perhaps even more than before. But after 5 years, what he once loved about my managing had become trivial marital burdens. My constant reminders had become the thing he detested most. So much so that later, he often went to find Helen simply for some peace and quiet. Love is a luxury item with a short expiration date. 5 years ago, he could hold my hand and proclaim his love to the world at the peak. 5 years later, he no longer even had the courage to say it out loud. Sam's hesitation was exactly what I had expected. I supported myself against the wall and slowly stood up. Suddenly my body softened, and Sam caught me. You just woke up. Your body hasn't recovered yet. Sit in the wheelchair, wherever you want to go. I'll take you. He helped me into the wheelchair. The flowers are blooming outside. Push me out to take a look, I said softly. Behind the hospital was a small garden. Sam slowly pushed me forward. I casually picked up a fallen rose petal from the ground. My gaze dimmed. When I married Sam 5 years ago, I planted a large rose garden in the backyard. Every flower had been carefully tended by me, blooming bright and beautiful. Later, when Helen came to stay at the house, she accidentally scratched her leg on a rose thorn. She immediately ordered all the roses in the garden to be uprooted. The next day, I cried facing the barren garden. Sam only said coldly, Helen likes fruit trees. From now on, we'll plant fruit trees here instead. They're more practical than flowers. Seeing that I had fallen into thought, Sam suddenly coughed lightly and spoke. I remember you like roses. I'll have people air freight rose seedlings from France. This year, we can plant even more roses in the garden. I gave a soft laugh. No need. After all, I won't be going back to that home anymore. Sam stiffened. After a moment, he spoke slowly. I've thought about a lot. I can tell you honestly now that I love you. I can swear to the heavens that from now on, I'll be faithful to you alone. There will never be another Helen. You are my only one. So don't leave me, all right? There was pleading in his voice. He sounded sincere. I thought that maybe he was telling the truth, but I didn't have the time to waste anymore. My gaze fell on the ice cream stand not far away. I want some ice cream. Sam immediately adjusted the wheelchair. I'll go get it for you right now. Watching Sam hurry away, I slowly stood up and walked in the opposite direction. Since Sam couldn't decisively divorce me, I would leave completely and cut off all his hopes. I had only taken a few steps when suddenly a cold glint flashed from the bushes beside me. The blade grazed my arm. When I saw who it was, my brows knitted tightly. Helen. Helen let out a cold laugh. She grabbed my throat and slammed me against the wall. The knife tip pressed against my heart. Didn't expect this. Did you, Eva? You bitch still ended up in my hands. Her eyes were vicious. My body hadn't fully recovered, and I was helpless against her attack. The knife pressed harder against my chest, stabbing pain into me. I could hardly breathe. I suddenly felt that dying like this might not be so bad. If this body disappeared, Sam would finally let go of his obsession, and the mission would be perfectly completed. I slowly closed my eyes. Just as the blade was about to pierce my skin, Helen's hand suddenly trembled, and the knife clattered to the ground. I opened my eyes and saw my son biting fiercely into Helen's arm. He shoved her away and spread his arms in front of me. "Don't bully my mom." Lucas's childish voice was full of resolve. Right after that, Sam rushed over and subdued her in a few quick moves. Sam looked up and, with his other hand, handed me the ice cream. "The police will be here soon. She won't escape this time. Eat it quickly, or it'll melt." Before long, the police arrived and took Helen away. Because she had fled to avoid punishment, her sentence would be increased on top of her original crimes. This time, she truly wouldn't escape. Watching the police car drive away, Sam suddenly turned back and asked me in pain, "Just now, where were you going?" I looked at him in silence. "Don't you already have the answer? After all the harm you caused me these 5 years, why do you think I would forgive you just because of a few words? Sam, if you truly love me, then let me go. If we divorce, where can you go?" "Anywhere." "Sam, I just don't want to stay by your side anymore." Sam fell silent too. He looked at me for a long time before finally letting out a guilty, remorseful sigh. "I understand now. These 5 years were my fault. You're right. I wronged you. I agree to the divorce. I'll let you go." After having his assistant print out the divorce agreement, he signed his name first and handed it to me. Just as I was about to sign, my son suddenly grabbed my pen tightly. "Mom, are you really leaving?" I looked at Lucas. He resembled Sam in many ways. I suddenly remembered how, when Lucas first learned to speak, the word mom had instantly warmed my heart. But when did it change? Probably when he began to find me nagging and not as good as Helen. People are always like this. They only learn to cherish something when they are about to lose it. Ignoring the pitiful look in Lucas's eyes, I said coldly, "Let go." Lucas froze, then slowly released my pen. Without the slightest hesitation, I signed my name, turned around, and walked away from them step by step. Only when I could no longer feel those two burning gazes behind me did I finally stop. The setting sun bathed me in golden light. In my ears, the system's prompt sounded. "Mission perfectly completed. Reward is about to be issued. Host, welcome home."